All know it's been a very difficult few days, people say, of course, for the former royals known as Harry and Meghan. But with the fallout regarding what's happened to their careers, whatever you want to call it, well, of course, then things start to emerge over the last few days. You find out exactly why Harry decided to do this. And when you think about it also, it does seem rather stupid because at that point you would have thought maybe keeping quiet would have been better. But behind doing this, there was a darker secret. And guess who was behind pushing it forward? As ever, let me explain. Morning, nice to see you, chums. Thank you so much for joining me today. Lovely to have your company. And as ever, thank you for all your support with the videos and where we end up and all that sort of stuff. I say I just go around, as you can imagine. I've got different places that I have to be at certain points. And then if I find somewhere nice that I think, you might like the look of, particularly like a building or something or flowers, you just love it, don't you? Because I think people think you're nuts because you're standing by the flowers. We've got flying ants at the moment here, by the way. Have you got them where you are? They're annoying, aren't they? Apparently they go for the whites of your eyeballs. And oh, yes, I know this is the thing. And they're all over. The thing is, you're frightened of swallowing them. I mean, a poor woman, I saw her out and she's got a sundress on. She said, I've been bitten by flying ants. I thought, right, lovely. Okay, what do you say? You have to carry on, don't you? It was a live broadcast as well, but there you go. Let's get back, of course, to your royal story of the day. Sorry, we haven't had a wave, have we? We have to have a wave. Are you waving back? I can see you. Yeah, I can see you. Don't be too slack with it all. Yes, look a little bit more positive, a bit more with it. I know it might be warm, it might be the end of the day, but put some zest into it, Now, this really caused a lot of problems behind the scenes, not just because the BBC had to then issue an apology because they decided that they weren't, stringent enough with the interview. We're talking about the interview with Prince Harry that he gave to the BBC after he'd found out that he was going to lose a lot of money for the security court case, remember. And also, I just find this incredible, really, that someone of his ilk would go on camera and say, I never would have proceeded with it if anybody had have told me that it was going to cost so much. And you have to ask the question, well, did nobody ever say you might lose? I mean, really, how dumb do you have to be? And I don't mean that unkindly, but it's the second question with anything in a legality, isn't it? What's the chances of this coming forward? Now, here's where this gets interesting and also very dark, because as we know, behind the scenes, this particular individual, the latest communications secretary person, whatever you want to call her, Meredith Main, well, she was the one pushing forward for this. Now, remember, your client's a little bit highly anxiety and all that sort of stuff. Maybe wait 24 hours, a couple of days, then decide to do an interview. Literally within minutes of losing, he's banged in front of a camera, and there you go, the BBC not taking any impartiality, but asking all those sort of leading questions. The one thing, though, that really upset, as you can imagine, not only His Royal Highness Prince William, the Prince of Wales, and of course His Majesty the King, was that particular defining question when Harry said, once again he'd like to reconcile with his family, but more importantly because he didn't know how long His Majesty the King had left. Right, I mean, what a thing to say on camera, right, about someone. Now, the true reason is this. You see, obviously Harry's been cut out of any communications for more obvious reasons. And earlier this week, His Majesty the King did speak to someone in a walkabout, and it was a really nice interaction where the guy said he'd been going through a very similar thing and how was he coping. And His Majesty said back, well, you just have to sort of take one day at a time, don't you, and really just carry on. And I like that sort of focus from someone like that because it can help a lot of people. But the darker side to this was that really Harry, according to a source, and as ever, I have to say allegedly, alongside Meghan and the team, they really wanted to try and force a sort of update, a health update from His Majesty the King. Now, imagine wanting to do that simply because you can't find out that information. It is deplorable. And the bottom line really is that obviously it didn't work. The BBC got wrapped on the knuckles. And once again, Harry came away solo, let me point that out, solo in that interview, looking rather stupid to say the least. Do not forget also that this was initially going to be an interview with both of them together. But at the 11th hour, Meghan once again had one of her turns and decided that Harry needed to do it alone. Always convenient when it's bad news, right? But if Harry thought this was going to go away and people were going to draw a line under it and say, you know what, terribly sorry, this wasn't a good look. Well, truly, to say that on air about your ailing father, who is literally recuperating, it's not a good look or indeed a good sign. But more importantly, Harry went ahead with it, and apparently still bewildered out in Montecito as his world crumbles around him, why nobody wants to get in touch or indeed trusts him. Interesting story, I'm sure you'll agree. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.